What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the 20 Percenters, where we focus on what matters: health, wealth, relationships, and time. I've got the immense pleasure of sitting down with Dom the hypnotist.
Hey, man. Thank you for
Dom
having me.
bertoncini.
Yep.
Dude, you've done incredible work with a person that I care deeply about, my little brother,
Yeah.
Eric Anders, and with some really notable UFC guys in the UFC. So your reputation precedes you.
Yeah. Thank you.
And as I've been doing deep work and moving into a more consultative role in my professional life, exploring NLP on a professional level, I'm really interested to have you on the show and dive into your journey into neurolinguistic programming.
Okay, cool.
And some of the work that you've done with these athletes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, I'm kind of glad that you're into that stuff as well, because sometimes I get so passionate and excited about what I do, but not a lot of people are into it. So it's hard to find people that are aligned on your same kind of path. So it is exciting to talk and meet with people who kind of know or are getting into the same field I'm in, because then it's like, we could bounce back and forth ideas. Matter of fact, Yasmin, Eric's wife, she ended up taking the course, the NLP course.
Okay.
Did he tell you that or no?
Yeah. I knew
Okay,
I knew that she stayed out here a couple of days after his last fight to get that done.
Yeah. So it was like a 2-week course. So she was just so impressed and happy with everything that went on with Eric that she decided to come out and take the course. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool,
Yeah.
So, but thank you again for having me. So I'm curious, how far are you in your NLP journey?
I'm more the student than I am the coach as far as NLP is concerned. And what I'm discovering as I work with my coach right now is that a lot of my practice as a coach involves NLP. I just don't know it. So the way he explained it in one of our last sessions was, once you go through the course, everything that you already do, you'll be able to do on purpose.
Right. Yeah. And the things that you don't want to be doing, you'll stop doing those. Yeah. The thing is, NLP isn't something that's made up like something that was just made up out of nowhere. It's actually comes from the study of humans and our mind and how we process information. And Richard Bandler and John Grinder, they're the ones who originally sort of, I don't want to say discovered, but I guess discovered or developed NLP by studying all these great psychologists and guys that done hypnosis and all that, and just by studying people and figuring out patterns and everything else. And that's sort of how they compiled all the information with NLP. So it's not like, anything that, again, it's things that people already do. Once you learn them, you can do them on purpose, do them at the right time. Again, don't, avoid doing them when you shouldn't be doing it. Like, I'll give you an example. One thing I hear from coaches, from people all the time, it's one of the worst things you can do is say what you don't want somebody to do, right? So, for example, when I watch a UFC fight or any type of fight, when in between rounds, I'm listening to the words that the coaches are using. So sometimes you'll hear somebody say, all right, when you're going out there, what I want you to do, I don't want you to back up against the cage, right? I don't want you to back up against the cage. Just whatever you do, don't go against the cage. Well, the problem is when you're telling somebody to not back up against the cage, what are they thinking about? They're thinking about backing up against the cage, because the first image that comes in your mind when you say don't back up against the cage is you backing up against the cage, and then you can go from there, right?
Right.
So rather than saying don't back up against the cage, what should they say instead? Well,
tell them
stay in
what
the middle.
you actually want them to do.
Exactly. Instead of telling them what you don't want to do. And, especially in that moment when you're tired, so like when you're tired or physically or mentally, your mind is open even more to suggestion. So when those guys just went 5 hard minutes, now they come into the corner and they're huffing and puffing, and their coach is telling them, don't do this, don't do that. They're literally, it's just like getting imprinted in their mind. So now when they go out in the next round, that's all that they're thinking about is don't go against the cage, and they'll unconsciously do the things they're not supposed to do, right? So like when I first started working with Eric, I would tell him like, all right, so what are some of the things you want to, well, let's say if it's like, don't get taken down. Okay. So we delete that. Now, instead of don't get taken down, now it's just stay standing. Right. Or, don't get hit. That's another one, right? Don't get hit. So instead of don't get hit, a better way to say it would be make them miss, right? Because now you're thinking more in a positive way.
Sure.
So that's one of the biggest takeaways I would say NLP does, is like the language and how it affects your mind.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, because, it's interesting because the way that was explained to me is that your body doesn't think in positive or negative. Mm-hmm. Like you said, it just paints the picture.
Yeah, just whatever you say.
Yeah.
You know? If I say don't think of a red Ferrari,
you have to not think about it.
Exactly.
You have to think of the red Ferrari.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, with regards to your practice, how did you get into NLP? How did Dom, the insurance guy, become Dom the hypnotist?
So ever since I was probably 19, I'd been reading books on it and watching, I've had audio books back when there were CDs. I don't even know if they make CDs anymore like that. Mm-hmm. But I would listen to it while I was driving around on my insurance appointments in the car, things like that, listening to Tony Robbins. So throughout my entire career, I was always kind of aware of it, but never really necessarily, the language thing I was always paying attention to, but the actual techniques of, do this, do that, I didn't really employ. So fast forward to this last year, my mom had taken this NLP course, timeline therapy, and they teach you hypnosis. It's a 7-day course. And when she got out of it, she was just ranting, raving about it. She loved it. And she told me that they learned how to do hypnosis within a day. And I had always thought, when you see videos of people doing hypnosis, you think it's fake, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem real that you could just make somebody, seemingly just completely lose control of their body or whatever within the snap of a finger. So I thought it was either all bullshit or it would take months and months and months of studying, and I didn't want to, take the time. So when she told me that, you learn it in a day, I was thinking, man, that'd be cool just to – not even to do as a career, but just to know as like a party trick, right. Like, hey guys, let me show you something cool, sleep. So she told me about it, and then I wanted to do it, and then she kind of pushed it off and was kind of going, I would ask her, when is it? How much is it? And she was beating around the bush. So finally she ended up surprising me with it as a Christmas gift.
Cool.
So then I went to this course. The first one was just like a hypnosis course, 3 days, hypnosis only. And I had such a profound, like when I got out of it, I just had this feeling of just energy and passion. I was like, man, this stuff is so cool. You know what it was that really got, okay. So I went to this course. We do it Friday. It's like introductory. You're doing little techniques, nothing really crazy. And then Saturday, they teach you how to do rapid induction, which is where what you see, I'll post it on my social media, where you make people just kind of fall asleep.
You do that a bunch on your social.
Yeah, the rapid stuff.
And you just watch the body
They just go, right? So
we're gonna do that.
Yeah, we'll do it today. We'll do it today. So then Saturday, they taught us how to do a technique for rapid induction. Okay. So that's that night.
What does that facilitate?
What
rapid induction.
What does it mean?
No, what does it facilitate?
How does it work?
Yeah.
So
what are you trying to do when you rapidly induce somebody?
Okay. So so if you want to just do like I don't even know what you'd call it, a regular induction.
Okay.
It's more of a slow, kind of drawn out process of putting somebody into a trance by kind of talking like this and saying certain words, and it's more of a longer path to get there. Rapid induction is just to sort of get them, they're not going to be fully like hypnotized when you do that, but it's just to get them sort of in that mode just quicker.
Okay.
So that's the reason that we do it. So we learned this thing, and that's the main thing that I wanted to learn. I wanted to do the cool stuff, the trick where you just make people lose control. So then that night there was a UFC fight on, and I was at this party, and then there was this girl there. It was like a UFC. It wasn't a party. It was just, gathering of people.
Yeah.
And there was this girl there that just kept flirting with me. And I have a girl, so I was just kind of ignoring her, but she just kept poking at me. So, and she was drunk. So I was just thinking, hey, this would be like the perfect person to try this technique on outside of the class. Cause I'd done it with a bunch of people in the class, but I was thinking, well, they're all here. They're playing along. You know what I mean? So I didn't know. So I was like, all right, I'll try with her. So I did it with her, and she literally just was like, completely awake and then just folded right into her lap. And it kind of scared me because I was like, oh shit, I didn't know. So I was like, hey. And then she came up out of it and she's like, oh, I guess it didn't work, huh? And I was like, are you kidding me? You're just, and everybody's laughing and stuff. So then after that, I was just thinking, man, I'm hooked. That was so cool from that experience. So then once I got out, I was telling the trainer I want to work with fighters because, I do jiu-jitsu and I get to rub shoulders with a lot of these guys and I know how powerful it is. So originally I had a goal to start doing this full time within 6 months. And then I was putting out on my Instagram, just, hey, I'll hypnotize whoever wants to do hypnosis for free. So the first week I hypnotized, I don't know, probably 40 people like within a week. It was the only thing I was focused on. Like my insurance business, I was kind of like, whatever, And then, so I was thinking, man, I'm actually really good at this. And people, and most of it I was doing through FaceTime. I wasn't even doing in person.
Really?
Yeah. Most of my sessions I do are through FaceTime, like 90%.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Most of them. The only time I do in person is if I'm like filming something and I want to put it out.
Yeah.
Or, if somebody is like in the area and they want to do it in person. But I've worked with people probably in like 6 different countries: Pakistan, Philippines, Mexico, Canada, a couple, England, and all through FaceTime. And you could do hypnosis through FaceTime. Not the rapid induction, obviously, but you can do longer ones. So I had a 6-month goal. After the first week, I shrunk it down to 3 months. And then I did it for another week. And then after that second week, I said, you know what? Fuck insurance. This is my passion. I've literally felt like this is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. This is what I'm put on the earth to do. And this is my calling. So, I stopped selling insurance and I haven't sold insurance since. And I've just been doing this, every single day. And I've probably for the first 3 months, I didn't take a day off. I was just every single day, 3 to 5 people a day for 1 to 2 hours each person, just all day. So that's how I ended up.
It's interesting because we just had I just had a conversation with Coach Casey Halstead, and he was talking about his transformation and catapulting the success that he's had as a coach. And one of the things that he talked about is exactly what you described, in that instead of avoiding that calling or putting it off and waiting for all the stars to align and blah, 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 making that slow transition, just go all in and let the chips fall where they may. You know what I mean? That's a reoccurring theme in these conversations that I'm having with people, in that the folks that are creating the most impact, the ones that are living their best life are the ones that went all in on themselves.
They just jumped.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily that you didn't have a plan. You just had you just listened to your gut. It's not necessarily that, but it's like, you know what? I'm genuinely curious as to how far I could actually take this thing. Right. And everything that's not this is a distraction.
Oh, that's exactly what it is. You just go tunnel vision,
Yeah.
So, and I think one of the biggest things that holds people back, and this is something you learn in NLP, is when people want to start something new, they don't know how. The how is always like the biggest thing. How am I going to do this? How is this going to happen? How am I going to do this? And the thing is that the how really doesn't fucking matter, because in how exactly everything's going to play out, that's actually the best part. Because if you think about it, let's say you watched a movie and you already knew how everything was going to happen in the movie. You don't want to watch that fucking movie, right? It's kind of like, well, I already seen that movie. The movies you want to watch are the ones where you don't know. You kind of have an idea, okay, this movie's going to end this way, but you don't know how it's all going to play out. And it's kind of like life, what's the fun in knowing exactly step by step how everything's going to go till you get to here. The best part is just going in blind and not knowing what's going to happen the next day. You know what I'm saying? And in when you're setting your goals, when you learn the NLP and all that, the how, again, when you start thinking about how, what ends up happening is, so let's say you have a goal, right? And instead of thinking about what it is that you want and why you want it and getting excited, people say, find your why and all that, right? Instead of thinking about what it is you want and why you want it and feeling good about that goal, and you're only thinking about how, what happens is your mind, if you're trying to figure out something that is insolvable, you don't know exactly how your CrossFit business is going to end up, right? Like, okay, obviously you want to make it successful, but you're not going to know every little step before you get started.
Right.
So when you're literally trying to solve an insolvable problem, and when you do that, it creates anxiety in the body. So then now you're having this anxiety and this sort of disbelief that's associated with this goal, and then your mind goes, fuck, it's too much. Okay, let me get away from it. So like you said, when you just jump in and you just go, okay, I'm going to figure it out step by step, day by day, it just ends up working out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It brings up another point, because I think that a lot of people, it's become cliche at this point, the just focus on the why. Don't worry about the how.
Right, right.
But like the distraction of how is what I'm gathering from what you're saying, is that, with that fervent belief in what you're doing, the goal and why it exists,
Right.
you're essentially reverse engineering it subconsciously.
Right.
And that's how the process manifests for you.
Right.
Is it creates this binary system where of yeses and nos.
Right.
Like the question then becomes, does this get me from where I'm at today to where I want to go at some later point in time? And at the end, it's a yes or a no. If it's yes, take action.
Take a step.
If no, move away. You
Exactly.
know what I mean?
Yeah, and then it's just like you said, it's just step by step.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine thinking about how to build this room? I mean, I've never done any. I've built a couple of walls here and there, but if somebody said build this room, and all you're thinking of is like the room, oh shit, where do I start? Right? It's too much. It's like, oh, how am I gonna do the plumbing, the electricity? But if you just said, okay, instead of trying to figure out how to build it all in one day, let me just, okay, what's the first step we need to do? Let me find that out. Okay. Oh, we need to lay the foundation. Okay. Well, fuck. How hard can that be? Putting concrete. So you do the concrete. And then once you got that step, okay, what's the next step? Okay, now we need to put up a frame. Okay, boom. And then when you do it that way, as opposed to trying to figure it all out before you get to the end, it's so much easier, and you'll act on it. If you try to figure, you can have sort of a plan, like, okay, obviously I'm moving in this direction. Right. But you have to be able to be willing to be okay with things not working out exactly how you want to work out. It's just like any sport, right? Football. Coaches go in, they usually have like the first set amount of plays, right? And then after that, they don't know how the exact game's going to go. Yep. They have to be able to go play by play, maneuver by maneuver. They can't plan the whole game before time. So it's the same thing.
So how does that play out when you're working with fighters, right? Because one of the things that we talked about with Coach Casey was, controlling the things that you can control, right? You can't control what the other guy's going to do, what the other girl's going to do. You can't control their skill set, their cardio. Like, those are all variables that, you have zero control over, right? But when you're talking about, a fighter that's trying to get out of a slump, and like, what are some of the instruments that you put in place that like put them back on the winning side of that engagement?
So that's a good question. So one thing that a lot of athletes have, especially like fighters, is what's the end goal?
To win.
To win, right? What's the end goal, though? What's the highest level?
Championship.
The belt, right?
Right, yeah.
So the problem with that is that if all you're thinking about is how am I going to get to the belt, but you don't actually believe that it's possible, but you think that that's what you're supposed to think, but really inside when you think about it, it kind of makes you feel like, oh, damn, I don't know how it's going to happen. I got to fight this guy, that. So I think one mistake that some people make is they put things that they don't actually believe as a goal in their mind, and they kind of self-sabotage during that process.
Sure.
Because they don't believe that they can do it. Now, it's not to say, I'm not saying that people shouldn't believe to do that, but there's a time and place for everything, right?
Right.
Like at some point, oh shit, I just got a 4-fight win streak. Now I can see that in my future. But if it's your very first fight in the UFC or whatever,
right,
and you're just, again, if you believe that you can do it and you have that real feeling that you're capable of doing it, then do it.
Right.
But what I've found is that the guys will focus on that when they really, truly, like on a scale 1 to 10, they only believe it like a 4 or a 5. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it goes back to every time you think about the belt, your mind just starts going crazy, and then you're like, I don't know if I can do it, and then you don't do it, and then your mind takes you away.
Sure.
So I think the biggest thing, and you hear people talk about it all the time, is just focus on what's in front of you. What's in front of you. Now, let's say that your original goal is the belt, and you only believe, like on a scale 1 to 10, 4 to 5, that you can do it. Okay, let's scale it back a little bit.
Yep.
What would be next? What would be something a little bit better than that? Well, do you believe that you could get a 4-fight win streak? And then they're like, well, yeah, okay. Well, on a scale 1 to 10, what do you believe? Like a 6 or 7? Okay, how about 3 fights? Oh man, I know I can do that. Then once they make that, like, oh, I know I can do that. That's what I'll have them focus on.
Yeah.
And then once they get to that point, now it's like, okay, can I get 3 and more in a row? And then I can get the belt. Now that 4 or 5 is now up at like an 8. So now they can focus on that.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say. Guys will put too much too soon and just get overwhelmed. So
I think that's really interesting from the standpoint that a lot of the conversation I have with young, and by young I mean just time in the game of business and entrepreneurship, or just moving towards that perfect day scenario. When we sit down and do an initial goal setting session, it's like, I want to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, okay, that's cool. And it's more than possible. Tons of people have done it, in a million different ways. So to say that you can't be one of those folks, that doesn't do you any favors. Right. To say that's unrealistic doesn't make any sense. Right. Because it's totally possible. Yeah. Right. But it's such an arbitrary number.
Yeah.
Right.
People just say, I want a millionaire.
I want to be a millionaire. It's like, well, for what? What does that allow you to do? Right. So what I have a lot of my people do is this perfect day scenario. Right. What does your perfect day look like, and what does it take to live it? Right. Have you read the E-Myth?
No.
Oh, you have to. It's there's a part of that book where a fisherman wakes up every day, trims the netting, charters the boat, takes some guests out. They do the fishing. He cleans the fish. They eat the fish, and he has a beer with his family at the end of the day. Right. He takes out this big CEO on vacation, and he's like, big idea. We could get a fleet of boats. We could turn this into something wonderful. 10, 15 years down the road, you're, doing exactly what you want to do, and you're just kicking back and having a beer. And he's like, why would I invest all that energy and time, a decade plus, just to get back to where I'm already at?
Right. Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of the exercise, right? Like, do you need, I'm not trying to steer people away from that $1 million goal, but like, do you need it to get to where you want to be? And then in doing that, we establish what they actually want. Right. You know what I mean? The other analogy I love to use is the test drive scenario. Well, what kind of car do you want to drive? Oh, a Porsche 911. They've never sat in one. They've never driven it. They just know that shit looks cool and rich people drive them. Right. Well, what if you did all that work, finally got to that Porsche 911, You go to buy the damn thing cash and discover that you don't even like it.
Right.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You just wasted all that time and energy. And
so it's like when, you know, you were really happy with the 4Runner, you know, that you could trick out, and that's your dream car. Right. Life is good, you know?
Yeah, that you don't have the stress.
Right. For better or for worse, you're in the vehicle that you want to be in. Right. And ultimately, when, you know, I perceive somebody be living their best life, that's what that looks like. It's not for me to decide or judge it against you.
Right.
You know, but let's make sure that we're actually pursuing the things that we actually want.
Right.
Not this abstract picture of success
of what like society or like the media. So it's funny you bring that up. I got to show you something while we're on the subject. So, you know, when I was single and when I was younger, you know, I thought, okay, I want to drive a sports car. So I went out and I bought a Porsche Panamera. It's funny you brought up the Porsche thing. And actually, I really love the car, and I'm going to buy another one eventually, the newer style. But I always wanted to live in like a big house and a mansion, right? So I got me and 3 of my buddies. We all rented this house. I'll show you here. Dude, this thing was so badass. It was like over 6,000 square feet, 6 bedrooms, 6 bath. Had the whole 7-car garage, this, that, and the other, whatever. And I can just remember the feeling of getting the keys and walking up and like, oh, this is our fucking house for the next year, you know, whatever. And then, man, living there, it taught me so much because I realized, okay, number one, you fucking drive up to the house, right? If you have groceries, you got to lug them up, you know, it's kind of far. It's like 50 yards upstairs, right?
Right.
And then you got to walk through the house all the way another 20, 30 yards just for your groceries, right?
Yeah.
And every time you go to the gym, you got to fucking walk. You know, I was on the master side of go, you know, down the stairs, walk out, go down. I was like, man, this is a motherfucker, you know? And then, you know, you got the pool, the maintenance, fucking this thing breaks, this, that, the other. And then just the overall maintenance of a house that big. And even with the 4 people that lived in there, it was just, I just realized this is just too much. Like, I don't need all this. I thought that would make me happy.
Yeah.
And then living with other people, God, at the time, that was like the worst decision I ever made. So many bad decisions made. I was like the Rock trying to keep everything together.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really drink. I don't do drugs. I don't do anything. But then my roommate started. So it just turned into a disaster. So then I realized I don't need all the space. And, you know, eventually, like last year, I sold the Porsche. You know, those things are so... Yeah, you know, it costs a lot to buy them, but the real cost is the brakes and the fucking tires and if this goes out, that goes out.
Right.
And I just realized I'm like, I don't even need all that. What makes me happy is doing what I love every single day, hanging out with my dog, my cats, and my girl, you know, in our 2-bedroom apartment, just chilling, like no stress, I'm not paying fucking $4,000 a month in rent and $1,000 on a car and this, that, and the other. Yeah. It was like none of that stuff made me happy. So you're totally right, man. You might think that you want that stuff until you get it and you realize, you know, it's not for me.
And you know, the other side of that is, you know, a lot of people get into the pursuit of living their best life and play it way too small.
Yeah.
Right? And I feel like that's where guys like you and I and the message of this conversation, you know, really come into play in that whether, you know, you could play bigger and acknowledging that and stepping into that light, because that's a lot of what I see is people don't think they deserve it.
Oh yeah. 100%.
You know what I mean? And then the other side of it is, you know, you have this massive extravagant goal that's not yours,
right?
That you don't own.
Yeah,
you didn't come to the pursuit of that thing on your own, right? So, and trying to get people to come back to center, and
align, right?
You know, come into alignment with what it is they actually want.
Right.
If it is the big ass house and a nice
then
car,
do it,
let's go fucking do that.
Right.
You know, or the other side of it is, if it is the 2-bedroom apartment, the cats, the dogs, and the girl, well, let's just move in that direction instead of going through all the bullshit in between just to end up there anyway.
Yeah, exactly. No, I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. Is that also part of your process?
Is what?
Helping people figure out what end of the spectrum they actually want to be at?
So it's like a lot of athletes usually come in too high, right? Because they're thinking about something that they don't believe is possible. So it's okay. What's like one of your favorite lifts that you lift right now?
Oh, cleans.
Okay, cleans. So what's like your max? I don't know, 3 reps or whatever.
I just hit a triple at 252.
252. Okay. So now what's like the most anybody's like ever done?
Oh shit! In my weight class, our weight class, there are guys that are pulling, 350, 400.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now if I was to tell you, okay, you're 35 years old, maybe you have another, let's say your peak athletic performance is 2 more years, right? Do you believe that you could get to 450 within the next 2 years? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But again, if you are coming in just because everybody else or the top guys are doing that, but you really don't believe it, you're like, damn, man, my time's limited. I'm that. I got these injuries, but no, I'm going to try to do 450. It just ain't going to happen because you don't actually believe it. Now, if we said, okay, what is your believability on a scale of 1 to 10 that you could get up to 280? What's your believability?
10.
10, right? How about 290?
7.
Okay, so then what we would do is I would say, okay, let's scale it to, how about 285? 9. So there's your sweet spot right there. So now all you do is you put all your focus, I'm saying when you're working out, 285 is the number, 285 is the number, boom, boom, boom. And then what will end up happening, which is funny, rather than focusing on the 350, is you're actually going to hit the 285 quicker than if you were to focus on the 350. Because now you feel good about the 285. It's right there. You're just like, you have that feeling of sort of being pulled towards doing it. It's like it becomes your obsession. I can do 285. And you'll hit the 285 quicker, and then now you're at 285. Now you're like, okay, where are we at next? Oh, at 315, okay. Where's it at? 9, 10, okay, boom. And then you get to there, as opposed to coming in, I'm only doing 250. Let me try to hit 450, right? And those guys are probably on fucking lot of shit, I would imagine. I don't know. That's a lot of fucking weight, 450 pounds to clean at our size. I probably can't even.
A lot of those guys. They go through the Olympic testing protocol and all that kind of good shit.
Come on, shit.
Did you see Icarus?
Yeah. Yeah, I seen that. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Man, I see guys, like even guys in the UFC, and I'm like, dude, this motherfucker looks like he's on. Because I've done testosterone. I've done fucking trend. I know the difference between before and after.
Yeah.
I know what I look like. And I'll see guys, and I'm just thinking, like TJ Dillashaw, I was already thinking, I'm like, this dude's going to, like, how is he getting past all these tests? And then he gets popped. And so, you can, there's genetic freaks and this and that, but come on. When you see a guy go from one way to a whole nother way, you're like, this dude's on some shit. So, but anyways, that's neither here nor there. But, that would be, because that's how it was for me in insurance. I always had like, $1 million. I never got there. It's because I was thinking, going back to what you're saying, about somebody else's goal. When I first started, my boss, he killed it. He made like $1.5 million by the time he was 26 or 27, right?
Okay.
So that was my goal. That was where I was at. And it just never came in and never came in and never came in. Whereas if I would have just scaled it back and been like, okay, I made this much this year. How much do I really believe if I gave it my 100% all, where can I be at next year? And I know for a fact I would have got there a lot quicker. Going back to when I was telling you when I first started doing hypnosis, I get out of the class and I barely know just a couple of little tricks, right? So in my head, I'm thinking, man, this is going to take for fucking ever to do this full time, right?
Yeah.
Now, if I would have told myself, because it started off at 6 months, and there's a way that I'll tell you right after this, there's a way you set a goal with your unconscious mind that'll make it easier for things to come in. It'll make it good when you think about it. But if I would have made my goal for the 2 weeks, which what it actually ended up happening, I would have just got overwhelmed and said, nah, I can't do it. It's too much. I can't, how am I going to go from doing this, from basically my whole professional life to doing this within 2 weeks? There's no way.
Right.
So I set it at an amount where it's called the sweet spot. like 8, 9, or 10. Like 6 months, I could do it.
Right.
So the way that we learn to set our goals is, okay, you have like a general time of when you want to do it. You don't have to be too specific. And you say, okay, my goal is to have this by 6 months. Okay. Now, if it happens a little bit after that, I'm okay with that. That's fine. Or maybe it'll happen even sooner. My unconscious mind will know exactly what the right time is for me.
Okay.
So you're giving yourself a general outlook on, okay, this is where I want it. And you're letting, because the things can happen, you know, we don't always get what we want exactly when we want it.
Right.
So you're freeing up that sort of anxiety that builds as you get closer and closer to that date by saying, if it happens a little bit after that, you know, I'm okay. That's fine. Or, and then this is very important, because what a lot of people do is they'll set a goal for a specific time, but then they don't say the words in their head to allow it to come in sooner. And that's the most important. Or maybe it'll happen even sooner. Because if you just are like 6 months or 5 years, I'm going to be a millionaire, 5 million, I'm going to be a millionaire, 5 years, you might be broke for 4 years. And then by the 5th year, you're finally a millionaire.
Right.
So it's very important to allow the things to come in. So then when I did that, I felt good about it, and I was fine, and I was doing everything I needed to do. And then after a week, I said, shit, you know, do it at 3, do it this, do it that. And then same thing, like with working with the fighters and these guys in the NFL, and now I'm working with a couple of these Olympic athletes. You know, if I would have told myself that when I'm going to be working with a gold medalist in 6 months, I would have said, no fucking way. There's no way possible.
Yeah.
But because I allow, you know, I put it right in that sweet spot, it's like things are just happening quicker than ever before.
That's so funny, because I've never played it out that way. You know, my intention when I left the Marine Corps was to get back in the gym space, get back into fitness, coaching, personal training, start grad school, finish grad school, walk across the stage, figure out brick and mortar.
Right.
And so that was my timeline. And that's what I was executing on.
Yeah.
And so February 2012, leave active duty on a Friday, start working the gym on a Monday. Fast forward 14 months. I'm in my second semester of grad school, signing on a lease and opening the gym.
Way quicker than you thought.
Way faster. A whole year and a half faster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I never consciously said the words. You know, like if it happened sooner.
Right.
But I was open.
Well, you were open to it happening sooner. Right. Yeah. So
like my point being that, you know, going back to doing shit on purpose with the awareness of NLP. Right. We do that kind of stuff on accident all the time.
Exactly. And what I'm saying is more to do it on purpose, but I guarantee you when you were doing it, you were unconsciously sort of saying that or already believing that. And the thing is, the main goal to really like manifest stuff and to make things happen. And I've used this for myself. And like I said, it's just things happen to me that I never could have planned out, or the how or whatever. The goal is just to feel good all the time. Not like the bad days happen. I know that, but I'm just saying in general, when you think about your future, when you think about your life, feel good about it all the time. And when you set, you know, those goals and they're too big and you just feel bad, you just sit there. And I used to do it, man. I'm telling you, I used to all the time be stressing out. How am I going to do this? How this, that, and the other, this, that, and the other. So when you feel good all the time, things just end up happening for you. Things just play out. One thing I do want to touch on. So we throw around the word goals a lot, and I really don't like to use that word. Here's why. Talking about the unconscious and stuff, and when I do set my quote unquote goals, I'll say this extra thing because it adds a little bit more oomph behind it. Okay. So, well, what is a goal? Okay, let's talk about in sports. Soccer. What is a goal in soccer? Kicking the ball in the net, right? Now, what can happen if you try to score a goal?
You can miss.
You can miss, or you can hit it, right?
Right.
So if you want to go even a little bit further than just setting a goal, you have to make a decision. You have to just say, this is happening and nothing will stop me unless I die. And when you do that, and it's not because everybody does it. Oh, I have a goal to do this. Oh, I have a goal to do that. But you know, when somebody is like, they are just hyper focused on this one thing, it always happens. But when it's just a goal and it's, oh yeah, it maybe happen, maybe it won't. But when you just say, look, it's no longer a goal. I made the decision. This is fucking happening. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I will do whatever it takes and it's going to happen. So instead of making a goal, just make a decision. Figure out what you want. I want to clean to 285. Okay. Am I making a decision on this? Let me clear my mind first before I decide, okay, do I believe I can do it? Yes. Do I have the time to invest? Yes. Do I have the mental space to really focus on this? Yes. Okay. Boom. Decision made. And then you just go for it. You know what I mean? So fuck goals, make decisions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what is it? Because you've worked with my brother, you've worked with Roundtree, you've worked with some guys with some notoriety in the space. And, you know, obviously without violating any client confidentiality, like what is, we'll go more abstract. What is the narrative for the people that come see you? Like, is it this lack of confidence? Like, do they, is it like this issue of deep work and a lack of awareness? Like, the overarching theme, like I had a conversation with a psychotherapist who's a member at the gym, and he works at one of these undercover celebrity rehab places. Yeah. And I was like, I asked him the same kind of question. I was like, how does somebody who from the outside looking in has everything end up on your couch? And for him and, you know, the people that he sees, like, they're fucking bored. Yeah. You know, so that's why they start getting into drugs and stuff. They start exploring vices and stuff like that to pass time. Right. So, like, you know, in that kind of context, what are they searching for?
I think what it mostly is, and this is a big problem, is people wait till they get sick to get better. And it shouldn't be that way. It should be, I'm constantly always getting better. And especially, you know, a lot, like, man, I've talked to a bunch of guys in the NFL. Some guys I've worked with, a bunch of them I hadn't, but I'm like, hey, have you ever done this, you know, to help? And they're like, no. And the only thing that they really do is just listen to their coaches or whatever, which obviously is great. But people wait till they're just got knocked out or 3-fight losing streak or this or that to really try to find themselves. And again, you don't have to have cancer to finally go to the doctor and be like, hey, can I get some help? How can I improve? Right. So that's one big thing that if people are listening is, even though you might be at the top of your game, even though you might be, you think you're okay, just, you know, there's always room for improvement. It's not always about just the physical aspect. The mental aspect is the biggest part. I mean, everybody, let's take fighting, for example. Everybody trains twice a day. So if you're training twice a day, okay, cool. Yeah, you work hard, bro. That's cool. Everybody does that. That's the standard, right? Right. So what are you going to do to separate yourself from everybody else that's training twice a day? Well, I need to see somebody about my mind. I need to, you know, obsess over videos about fights, whatever it is, to really get that edge, because that's just the standard. Right. So when people come to me, it's because they feel like they sort of lost their way and they're trying to get back to where they were before, right? And, you know, fighting is, to me, outside of, you know, like real life combat where you're fighting for your life, I mean, that's like the highest, most anxiety sport or anything, I mean, that I can think of. Sure. More than anything, because you're going out in a cage, one-on-one. There's no quarterback to blame. There's no, you know, point guard. There's no pitcher. It's just you, and you're fucking half naked, more than half naked. You're 90% naked, standing across from another guy, from some motherfucker that wants to kill you. Right. And everybody's watching, so there's a lot of anxiety that builds up. Like, fuck, just talking about it, I'm like, fuck, I don't know how these guys do it. Yeah. So, so it's really about just getting back to where they were. And so what ends up happening is we have situations, circumstances, and events that make an impression on our unconscious mind that will, if you hold on to those situations, you end up, that creates your state, right? Your state is how you feel. So if you just lost the fight, you just got knocked out in front of the whole world, you know, think about it. You just trained 3 months. Every bit of your mind and body were focused on this one event, and then you got fucking knocked out. Damn. So what do you think those guys do? They go after the fight, and that's all they think about for a whole month. You know, like, fuck, dude, I got knocked out. I lost half my pay. Everybody's, you know, I got embarrassed in front of everybody. Well, after a while, if you're holding on to that state of sort of, you know, like
loss,
eventually it becomes sort of you start behaving in that way. And then after a while, it becomes a personality trait, or how you are and how you think and how you believe. So what's important is when those things do happen is to take a bird's eye view, you know, look back and go, okay, because the two of the highest primary functions of your unconscious mind is to keep you, and the unconscious mind is 95% of your brain power. The other 5% is the conscious mind. So your conscious mind's number one highest primary objective is to keep you alive and to keep you safe as long as possible. So when those events happen to you, it's like, oh, fuck, I don't want that to happen again. So it just keeps reliving that experience, right? And then anytime you're sort of in that situation that's similar to it, it reminds you, oh, fuck, remember last time when this happened? And then you start reliving it again, which causes all the negative emotions in the body. One of the other primary objectives is to learn. That's why humans, we're constantly learning, we're constantly innovating, we're constantly trying to improve. Well, if you hold on to an event and you don't look back and go, okay, what can I learn from this? How can I improve, et cetera, your brain will literally store that, and then you'll begin to act on that. So I'm not sure if that answered your question, but so actually, if you want, we could do a little demonstration of kind of how you do that. Do you want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think you had already mentioned you did some type of timeline therapy. Okay. Do you know which way your timeline is?
Backwards.
Which way is your past?
Oh, to the left.
To the left, like out in front, or like this?
Out in front.
So like this, and your future goes this way?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So now, did you, let's say, you know, it's funny because the times I've done this on air with people, we go back to like times that they're just thinking, what the fuck? I don't remember that happened. And they get all embarrassed, and then they cut it out of the thing, and then they don't show it. So if you do that, whatever. I mean, it's your show. So, but you can, and if you can tell me about the event, or tell us about the event if you want to, or you could just keep to yourself. It doesn't matter. Okay.
Cool.
So, did you release the belief like that you're not good enough? Did you ever do that one or no?
Yep.
You did? Okay. How about
I'll walk you through it. Like I'm totally cool talking about it.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So one of my limiting beliefs was not being able to take people with me. Right? And that was predicated on the promise I had made my dad about being a millionaire before I was 30. Right? Well, he passed when I was 23. So the doing the timeline therapy, the belief that manifested from that, and I'll explain how it plays out here in a second, was that's no longer a goal, a worthy goal.
Oh, right.
Because he wasn't there to see it.
Yeah.
Right. So everything up to 30
kind of
years.
sabotage yourself.
Right. Yeah. Right. And the way that manifests, the way that had manifested up until, you know, probably the last like 2 years was, what's the point in striving to achieve, even though I was making progress, right? Business is going well, all that kind of good stuff. I wasn't maxing that out because I couldn't take people with me, the people that were there in the beginning, you know? And so that belief from that circumstance manifested that way for me.
And then it ends up affecting your whole life,
later.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. So let's try to find one, because I'd love to do one on the spot. How about any limiting beliefs around, say, did you do any like money, or do you have one in your mind?
We can do lifting. I got this hang up about 300 pounds.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
That would be perfect. So close your eyes and ask your unconscious mind, is it ready to release any limiting beliefs around lifting 300 pounds today, so you could be aware of it consciously?
Yes.
So is it basically about you not being strong enough? Or what is the limiting belief? Did you release that you're not strong enough?
No.
You didn't. Okay, so
like
let's do that.
It's hit and miss.
Let's do the strong, because that's more of like a root. That one's more of like a specific thing. Okay. So we'll go with your not strong enough, and then if we need to release that, we can. So when you think about, first of all, when you think about 300 pounds, lifting 300 pounds, is that power cleaning or what are you thinking?
Squat clean.
Squat. Okay.
Yeah. So I blame everything on my knee.
Okay, perfect. So where do you feel the negative feelings in your body?
In my ACL repaired knee.
Okay. Where else?
My lower back.
Where else?
My hips.
Where else?
My traps.
Okay. Where else?
My gut.
Your stomach, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Most of it. Okay. Cool.
Yep.
So close your eyes and ask your unconscious mind, are you ready to release the belief that you're not strong enough today so you could be aware of it consciously?
Okay.
Is it unsure? Seems a little unsure.
I'm just like replaying the question you're asking in my mind.
But was your mind telling you like yes, or was it like yeah?
No, we're on board.
Okay, cool. Yep. So it's important to make sure you're on board, because what happens is sometimes your unconscious mind doesn't want to let things go, whatever it may be, because it thinks it's protecting you. So then you got to sort of negotiate with it to be able to release it, because if not, and you just proceed forward, you won't actually release it. Okay. So that's why I was like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, so close your eyes and ask your unconscious mind, what's the root cause of this belief that you're not strong enough? The very first event, which when disconnected will cause that belief to disappear. And if you were to know, was it before, during, or after your birth?
After.
Are you ask it, are you sure, or was it sooner?
It's sure.
Okay. And if you were to know, I don't want to know the event. All I want to know is the number of the age you were. So if you were to know, ask your unconscious mind, if you were to know the very first event you ever felt like you weren't strong enough, what age were you? What's the number?
19.
Okay. Most likely it's going to be sooner than that. So ask it, are you sure, or was it sooner?
Sooner.
Okay. So just say, if you were to know the very, very first event you ever felt like you were not strong enough, doesn't have to be lifting, just in general, what age were you?
6.
And ask it, are you sure, or was it sooner?
Sure.
Okay. So now your unconscious mind is going to provide you with images, sounds, and even feelings from this event. As the images come to your mind, let me know what they are.
Lifting in the basement.
Okay. And what happened? What caused you to feel like you weren't strong enough?
I couldn't lift the dumbbell.
Okay. So you were just trying to lift the dumbbell, and you just weren't strong enough.
Right.
Perfect. Where do you feel the feelings in your body?
In my arms and my shoulders.
Okay. Where else?
In my gut.
Where else?
In the back of my head.
All right. Where else?
My back.
Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to imagine as if you're floating above right now, and we're going to go to what's called position number 3. So position number 3 is in your past timeline. It's before the event happened. You're up above your timeline. You're way up above it. And this event, when you were in the garage, is down below you and in front of you. You could see yourself in the event, and you're facing back towards the future. So you're facing towards now. So you're before the event. You're up above it. The event's down below you and in front of you as you face towards the future. And you could see yourself in the event. Let me know when you're there.
All right.
All right. Now ask your unconscious mind, what learnings can you take from the event that will allow you to let go of the belief that you're not strong enough easily and effortlessly? And as the learnings come to your mind, let me know what they are.
Technique. Commitment. Confidence. Breathing. Position. That's it.
All right. Ask your unconscious mind, are there any other learnings?
No.
All right. Thank your unconscious mind for those learnings, and ask your unconscious mind to store the learnings so if you ever need them in the future, they'll always be there. Once your unconscious mind has stored the learnings, let me know by nodding your head. Okay? Now I want you to float up to position number 3. And you know all the feelings are all over your body, your arms, your back, your neck, everything. Where are they now?
They're gone.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Okay. I want you to float down into position number 4, which is seeing the event through your own eyes. So you're kind of reliving it. Check on the feelings again. Are they there? Or have they disappeared now?
Disappeared.
All right. Float back up to position number 3. Once you get to position number 3, you're going to begin to make your way back above your timeline, all the way back to now, only as quickly as you can let go of all of the times where you felt like you weren't strong enough, all the way back to now. As you come across each event, assume position number 3, so you're above it, the event's in front of you, below you. You can see yourself in the event, and I just want you to preserve the learnings and let go of all the times you felt like you weren't strong enough, all the way back to now. And if you jump around at different times, you go 19, 5, 20, and you go all the way around, that's fine. Just make sure you get all the events because sometimes they like to hide. And make sure you get that one that was at 19 or whatever it was. All right, now ask your unconscious mind, what other events do you need to let go of? And go back and comb through again. All right, and ask your unconscious mind, are there any other events you need to let go of? All right, go ahead and open your eyes. And do you smell popcorn?
Yeah.
A little bit, huh? Mm-hmm. All right, go ahead and close your eyes. And I want you to think about that 300 pounds, about lifting 300 pounds. And try to find those feelings, and you may find that you cannot.
I can't.
Are you sure? Are you trying?
Yeah.
You trying hard?
Yeah.
All right. Now I want you to go out into the future to any unspecified time to an event where, excuse me, go out into the future to 3 separate events where if they had happened in the past, you would have felt that old, you would have, thought that old limiting belief, and notice what you do instead. What are you doing now?
I've got a checklist.
Okay. Before you go into the lift of like breathe, all that stuff?
Right.
Okay. And how do you feel now?
It's a smooth pull.
Okay, cool. Come back in an hour, open your eyes. All right, what's today's date?
The 31st.
Okay, close your eyes. I want you to get an image of you. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your believability that you could lift that 300 pounds?
10.
10? Are you sure?
Yes.
No bullshit. You don't have to bullshit me here.
I'm not bullshitting.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So now what I want you to do is I want you to get an image of you lifting the 300 pounds. Okay? And I want you to see yourself in the image. Let me know when you have it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, I want you to imagine as if you're floating up above now and you're floating out into the future. And I want you to go to whatever day that you believe this is going to be possible for you. Okay? Now, if you don't believe it's going to be tomorrow, then go to the next day. If you don't believe it's the next day, go out to the next week or the month. Maybe it's 3 months. Maybe it's a year. I don't know. But go out into the future to where you believe with the certainty that you have right now that you're going to be able to lift that weight. Okay? And where are you at? Like weeks, months, where are you at?
4 weeks.
4 weeks. Perfect. So go out to 4 weeks. What I want you to do is you're going to turn it back around. So you're in your future. You turn back around facing towards now. This event of you pulling the 300 pounds is right in front of you. And then I want you to imagine as if you're dropping that image down onto your timeline. So drop it down on your timeline. And you know the sound that Tupperware makes when it seals shut? Go ahead and lock it in, seal it in just like that. Let me know when it's locked in. Okay, now I want you to just in your head, just say unconscious mind, store all these images, sounds, and feelings on my future timeline. And once it's stored it on your timeline, let me know. Okay. Now, tell yourself that you made the decision to lift the 300 pounds by 4 weeks. If it happens a little bit after that, you're perfectly okay with that. Or Maybe it'll happen even sooner. Your unconscious mind will know exactly what the right time is for you. And when you've said that, I just want you to say now, unconscious mind, allow me to think, feel, and behave in a way to successfully achieve that outcome. And once it's allowed you to successfully achieve that outcome, let me know by nodding your head. Okay? Now, I want you to leave that image there down in your future timeline, flow back to now, come down into your body, and look out into the future on your future timeline. And what do you see?
See me making the lift.
All right, cool. Now open your eyes. And what's 5 times 5?
25.
Okay, cool. All right. So now how do you feel about that 300 pounds?
Confident.
Confident? Yeah. Good.
Like there's no reason to miss.
Like, yeah, you got like it's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when was the last time you thought about that memory? About being 6 in the garage? Man. Probably since it happened, right?
Yeah.
29, 8
right.
years, right?
Right.
So that's the example of how those things, affect us, and they make an imprint. And then all the events that came when you came back on your timeline, there's probably a bunch that you forgot about too, or it's something you even remembered, right?
Sure.
So again, when you release those things, now you can free yourself to go, okay, now the feelings, now when you think about the 300 pounds, the knees and the back and everything else. And that's another huge thing is a lot of times, or most of the time, people think that injury is all physical. But actually, a lot of it is mental. Because think about this. If you're unconsciously running these programs through your mind and you think you're not good enough, or when you think about 300 pounds, you feel whatever, you felt your knees felt it, your back felt it, right? All these different things. So now imagine it feels like kind of heaviness or tightness, right? So imagine going to play a sport with all of that subconscious buildup in all of your body. Well, now you're subject to injury. It's not just the physical part. So you can warm up, right? You can run, do push-up, whatever, physically, but you still have a lot of the emotional things. And it's funny because I'll have guys come to me, they're like, oh man, every time I'm in camp, I get fucking injured, and then we do the work and they haven't had injury in 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
It's because again, they're releasing all the baggage and all the negative beliefs and limiting beliefs, and then their body can finally feel good and heal themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's a trip, right?
That's fucking crazy.
Did you do the one where you go out in the future and drop it down and all that?
No.
Oh, no.
We just cleared the path.
Just cleared the path?
Yeah.
Did you go back and, like, when you cleared it, did you go back again and clear it through, like, 2 or 3 times? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was an 8-hour process.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so you did, like, a breakthrough? Okay.
Yeah.
So you went
That's
through everything.
Breakthrough session, yeah.
Did you do...
we did anger, sadness, fear.
hurt, guilt?
Yeah.
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 And then he enlisted your values and all that. Yeah.
Yep.
Like spirituality, health and fitness, and then you go through and release it through all those. And then, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Did you do hypnosis with them or no?
Not like the rapid induction or anything like that. No.
It was just more of like just a normal induction or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So that's the process there. So yeah.
That shit's so cool, man.
Isn't it?
Yeah. It's wild because it's, on the surface level, it's like how could that process be so powerful?
Right. Yeah.
And the visualization exercise of the floating, the dropping down, the how many positions are there actually?
Well, there's actually 4 if you go to the past.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's position number 1, which where you go to before the event. There's position number 2 above it, and there's position number 3. But since you've already done this, I can just take you directly to position number 3 and then position number 4. So the reason why it works is because, and I talked about this with Julian the other day on his thing. So when you remember things, you remember them. Your unconscious mind has every single memory you've ever had. It's like a 24-hour day, 7 days a week video recorder, right? We just proved it because you went back to when you were 6 and fucking came up with a crazy memory. So, but when it's recording these things, it's recording them through your own eyes.
Yeah.
So now your unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's happening in reality and what's going on in your head. That's the job of the conscious mind, is to process everything.
Okay.
Now, that's why people can have full-blown panic attacks when there's no actual threat. It's because in their mind, they're running a visualization of something happening so vividly, so frequently that their brain thinks it's actually happening, and then they freak out or have PTSD or whatever, right?
Right.
So, fucking that guy, man. When he used to live here, my girl used to bitch about him all the time. Anyways, he's just hella nosy. But what was I saying? So the process of going to position number 3 is you're disassociating with it. So that means that you're, instead of seeing it through your own eyes, you're seeing it from a bird's eye view. So the example that I always give people is, okay, imagine if we're watching a scary movie, or let's say we're just watching a movie. And in the movie, there's a guy sitting on the couch, and he's watching a scary movie, right? Well, that movie's not going to be that scary because it's so far disassociated with us that there's no real feelings associated with it. Now, if we took that exact same movie and we moved it into the screen that we're watching, now we're watching a scary movie. Now it gets a little scarier, right? Now, if that exact same scene is happening to us in real life, all hell breaking loose, and then your body really feels it, right?
Sure.
So when you could take those negative experiences and then you can put them out in front of you and you disassociate with it, the further it goes away, the further and further the feelings go away. And then you go in and go out to make sure you get them all out.
Okay.
And then now it's like, okay, I took the learnings. Now I can move on and let it go. So I actually developed something that I don't know of anybody that's done this, but I basically took, we can do it right now if you want. I took timeline therapy and anchoring, which is where you like anchor a feeling on your body, and I combined them. So basically what we'll do, let's just do it together.
Okay.
So let's go back to being strong. Okay. Now, when you do this technique, this can make you're in like the worst mood ever. And if you do it, it'll just make you feel whatever the feeling is that you want to have. Okay. So go ahead and close your eyes and ask your unconscious mind, what is the root cause of you feeling strong? The very first event, which when you remember it, will cause you to feel stronger. And if you were to know, was it before, during, or after your birth?
After.
Ask it, are you sure, or was it sooner?
Sure.
Okay. Now, if you were to know the very first event you ever felt strong and powerful, what age were you? And what's the number? Not the event, just the number. If you were to know the very first event you ever felt strong and powerful, what age were you?
4.
All right. Ask it, are you sure, or was it sooner?
Sure.
All right. As the event comes to your mind, let me know what you see.
First time I won the fight with my big brother.
Oh, there you go. Nice. So what I want you to do is I want you to associate in the event, so you're seeing the event through your own eyes. Notice how you feel. Remember what you learned from that process. And once you've done that, I want you to store that event sort of as a reminder. And then what you're going to do is you're going to begin to make your way back above your timeline all the way back to now, only as quickly as you can remember all of the times where you felt strong and powerful all the way back to now. As you come across each event, I want you to associate yourself in the event, so you're reliving that experience through your own eyes. Notice how you feel, hold on to those feelings, store the event, and then just keep storing all those events all the way back to now. And just remember how strong you actually are. Okay. And ask your unconscious mind, what other events can you remember that you felt strong? And really feel the feelings. Remember those things. All right. And whenever you're ready, open your eyes. All right. And what's 7 times 7?
49.
Okay, cool. So how was that experience?
So just sitting here?
Yeah.
Maintaining this seated position, there's typically a lot of tension on my knee.
Right.
Gone.
You felt strong, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know it would do that, but dude, that's awesome. So this is important because when I've done all the classes, all they really have focused on was releasing negative emotions. And then, like I said, I kind of was thinking, well, what if I just go back and remember all the times that I felt good or happy or whatever? And you know, I did this for myself, and I went back to the very first time I ever felt happy. And you know what it brought me? It brought me back to when I was 1 year old and I learned how to walk. And it was like I relived that experience, learning how to walk, and then I came back and I got to relive all these cool things that I forgot that I did. You know, going here, going there, doing this, doing that. Yeah. And then I opened my eyes. I was like, damn, my life is actually pretty fucking good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'll do that with guys because, you know, we're always thinking about like all the times we've lost, because those make the biggest impact negatively, right?
Right.
But it's important to go back and remember all the cool times you were, whatever it is, you were strong, you won something, you're happy, you're excited, you're motivated.
Yep.
And it's important to do that, and because then it puts you in that state, and you go, man, you know, I'm actually a strong motherfucker. I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that. So yeah, that's something I sort of just came up with on my own. I haven't seen anybody do it. Yeah. So there's just something I did start doing recently. Yeah. The past couple months, I was like, hey, why don't we just start doing that?
Right.
So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So this is one thing I like to talk about when I talk with people, because this was the biggest thing that held me back from like doing what I wanted to do or pursuing my passion. And I believe, I don't even believe, I know this is one of the biggest, if not the biggest thing. And you probably heard me talk about this before, but there is a huge fear that a lot of people have. Okay. It's not drowning. It's not public speaking. It's not, you know, dying of burning to death.
Yeah.
You know what the fear is? I think you might know.
Success?
No. The fear that so many of us have that hold us back from doing what we truly want to do and being who we truly want to be is the fear of, what are other people going to think of me?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Or the fear of, what are other people going to say behind my back? Right? And I know for myself, even still, I have to go, wait a minute, hold on. Fuck, I don't care what they say. I'm just going to do what I want.
Yeah.
And we end up, you know, we come up with this idea of what we want to do, a business we want to start. We want to start going to the gym, and then we start thinking, no, but what are people going to think of me when I'm in the gym? You know, I've never worked out before. Oh, no, what are everybody going to say? Or I'm going to start this new business. Oh, you know, what are my family going to say? What are they going to think? And then it paralyzes people from doing what they want to do. Here's something that I realize, and this is huge. So, you know, we're always worried about, like, who are people going to like me? And what if I do this? Are they not going to like me? Whatever. The people that you think don't like you, they don't even like themselves. So it really doesn't fucking matter.
Right.
So you might as well just do what the fuck you're going to do anyways. Because, of course, somebody isn't going to like you. They don't even like the person that they see in the mirror. So it's not that they don't like you. They don't like themselves, and they're projecting that onto you.
Sure.
They're jealous or whatever the case may be. And I think that is one of the biggest, if not the biggest thing when it comes for people going after what they want to go after, or making a big change, going from, you know, I've been this person my whole life, but I want to be this person. I want to start my YouTube channel, but I'm scared of, am I good looking enough, or, you know, this or that? Am I too fat, or too this or too that? Just fucking do it. And it'll be the best decision you've ever made in your life.
Yeah. Well, dude, I really appreciate you taking the time today.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're going to, where can my tribe
just go find you? So I have a YouTube channel, Dom the Hypnotist. It's 3 words. My Instagram is all one word, Dom the Hypnotist. And Facebook, it's just my name, Dominique Bertoncini. You know, it's kind of hard to spell. Bertoncini.
We'll get it all in the show notes.
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay, cool.
For sure. Dude, really appreciate the time. Love your mission, and you're definitely having an impact in real time. You know, I think what's really cool about what you do is that whereas you know, the person that was most influential in righting the ship in Casey's life didn't even know it.
What was that?
A woman that he encountered his first night in jail.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they had a conversation. He made a decision, and here we are today.
Yeah.
Right. She doesn't know that. The chances of her knowing that.
She probably
versus
was just saying something random.
It's like, I'm in fight camp and I need to fucking win.
Right.
We're gonna go through this, and bam, you get to see it play out.
Right.
So you have a very, not a massive impact, but a direct one as well.
Yeah.
So
thank you, man.
Yeah. Really appreciate
I already
you,
made
brother.
the decision. I'm gonna be the number one, most well-known, most sought-out mental coach, hypnotist, whatever you want to call me, of all time. And I made that decision. And what's funny is I told some lady, some lady that's been doing this for years, I was asking her questions like, how do you do your business, this and that?
Mm-hmm.
And I told her, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be like the Tony Robbins, but of sports or whatever.
Yeah.
And she fucking laughed at me. And then it went back to what I was saying is she didn't laugh because she doesn't believe me.
Mm-hmm.
She just doesn't believe for herself that something like that is possible.
Sure.
So it's like when you tell people things, when people tell you that they want to be great at something, that they're going to be great at something, if you start in your head being like, yeah, right, fuck no, not possible, this, that, the other, that's your own insecurity. So if you're out there and you're listening to this and people are telling you things and you're just right away just ragging on them, you got to stop that, man. You got to encourage them and believe that they can do it, because if you believe they can do it for themselves, that's you projecting onto them.
Oh, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
Much appreciated,
all right, let's
man.
do this,
Thank you so much.
Let's do this session.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, let's knock it out.
So, again, guys, appreciate you being with us today. Support everything that Dominique has going on. Check him out. Follow him. Check out everybody that he's working with. He's very public with. And
a lot of guys too. I haven't put out there. So there's even some dudes, like a couple guys in the league, the NFL, that I haven't made public, and a couple other people. But yeah, a lot of them are though too.
Just wait for it and watch it all manifest, guys. And again, focus on the things that matter: health, wealth, relationships, and time. We'll see you next week.